88.1 The Burg, your Music Central. Welcome back in. It is Ort and The Bear after taking a lovely Monday off. Not that I didn't miss you guys, but I enjoyed my Monday to the fullest. It's Peyton Barron's Will Ortner here for another glorious day, another glorious episode of Ort and The Bear. Ort, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. The 4-day work week is doing wonders for me.
See, I kind of have the 4-day work week because I still have like real job going on every day. So I have the 4-day work week for this thing, but then I got full-time work week going on the other thing. Plus school on top of that, it's a nightmare.
Tell JC babes over there, just like, hey, Jace, look, man, I only work 4 days a week, and you got to deal with that and still pay me the same amount of money.
I wish I could swing it around that hard. I wish I had that sort of power under my belt.
Producer to the stars, baby. Start throwing it around, man. Own what you are.
Gotta swing my weight someday. Will, let's jump into something new that we're gonna start doing on Ort and the Bear, and that is ups and downs. We're gonna talk about topics. We're gonna say whether we personally feel whether they're trending up, whether they're trending down in our minds, and how we feel about them. So you got some topics to throw out there?
Yes, sir. I got a couple from like last week and really the weekend. So right now, I'll start it off with the good news first. So ups right now for women. I don't know if you've heard or not, but it kind of sounds like maybe Kim Jong-un bit the bullet. And you know who's in charge of the country now? His sister. That's right. Feminism. Women are starting to become in control of powerful dictatorships. So good for women.
Yeah, as equality stands, we need to have just as many, women dictators as we do male dictators. So I like this move by North Korea.
This goes right in with Title IX. We need more women to be monsters and atrocitors than just men.
Yeah,
it's just not fair anymore.
Why does Kim Jong-un get to have all the fun? I'm glad his sister is going to be stepping into that role, and I hope she does it every bit as this. I'm not going to say well, but to the same she's going to fill the shoes just fine for Kim.
Yeah. You know what? She should do like in her first day in office. She just needs to threaten to have a nuke on someone.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that this trend could be going global, Maybe
one day we'll follow in their path and have a woman leader.
I hope so.
All right. My second ups for the weekend. Older women. I don't know if you got a chance to check this out, but Carmen Electra was on The Last Dance, and wow. She still has her fastball. I'm sure she's very smart personality, but I'll tell you what, it's very clear she still works out. And then also to Kate Beckinsale, I saw a picture of her with her new boyfriend, who's 22, same age as me, just saying, and she looks fantastic. So right now, big ups to older women.
No, I was so shooketh when I saw Carmen Electra on The Last Dance because I haven't seen her since the movie Daredevil back in like 2004. Little to my knowledge, she's done like 3 movies since then, which was like 15 years ago. But I had no clue. And then all of a sudden she just drops a bomb that she was hanging out with Dennis Rodman and she hid in, some sort of other room or closet when Michael Jordan busted that door down. Yeah, I'm sure that's the real story there with Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, and Carmen Electra. But that's not for me to get into. I was so shocked and surprised to see her in that documentary.
I didn't expect it, but then again, there's been 2 presidents. One who was a Chicago native.
Barack.
So it was, I'm not going to lie, I had to do a quick Google search and figure out what was going on with Carmen Electra. So good for her. Good for older women in general.
Oh, yeah. Good job, Will. Way to find some positives in a pandemic world that we live in.
Look, bro, I'm just an ally to women everywhere. All my ups have been for women.
So far.
That's right. Well, now we're going into the downs of the weekend.
All right, let's see what the downs are.
This also includes women. Downs for NFL draftee girlfriends. I don't know if you saw it. Obviously, everyone's talking about CeeDee Lamb and how his girlfriend reached for the phone. She immediately got it taken away by CeeDee. But the most underrated was at the very end of the draft, there was an offensive lineman, and I forget his name, but he got drafted, and his girlfriend was sitting on his lap. And I don't know if you saw this, but the mama bear came in and started trying to throw the girlfriend off his lap, and the girlfriend started throwing elbows, and the mom was throwing punches. It was pretty aggressive as they found a way to shove the girlfriend off. So down for girlfriends right now.
No, I did see that, and that was a rough look for her. Another rough one, for the girlfriends is this moment resurfaced Russell Wilson's former wife, his ex-wife, and his former girlfriend with the horrible meme picture where he gets drafted. He looks all happy, and she looks psychotic, like, yeah! And it's real bad,
Yeah. Not a good look for Ashton. I don't know what her it probably still is Wilson. She's a little bit cuckoo.
All right. You got another down, or is that your last down?
I got one more down, and we'll make it quick because I know we're getting out of here. I know we already talked about it a little bit, but down for dictators. Kim Jong-un's passing. He was probably I don't want to say passing, rumored passing, because he was probably the biggest dictator known to man right now, currently. And so, you know what? I'm a little sad to see him go.
You're sad?
Well, yeah, like everyone needs their Darth Vader. Our Darth Vader just happened to be 5'10" and 400 pounds and super fat. And you know what? That makes me grateful, because if I saw our Darth Vader, I'm pretty sure I could beat up our Darth Vader. But what if, like we talked about the sister, but come on, there's going to be a power struggle. What if there's an even more BA person who takes over? I don't want that in my life. I want a fat, chubby, like Winnie the Pooh bear evil villain coming after me.
Like a Katy Perry loving dictator.
Yes, fireworks.
Exactly. 88.1 The Burg, your music central. It's Ort and The Bear. And Will, let's go into a little draft recap. Since we didn't get a hit on this Monday, the draft finished up over the weekend. I think it's a good time that we can do a draft recap. And today we can really focus on the Seahawks because we didn't get much to talk about them last week on Friday. We kind of talked about their first-round pick, Jordan Brooks. He was the linebacker out of Texas Tech. I'm not huge on this as a first-round pick. It seems like a guy who we were trying to trade down into the second round and target, and we couldn't find a trade suitor. I know that John Schneider was working on a deal with the Packers when they traded up with the 49ers. Schneider was on the phone with the GM, and he said, got a better deal on the other line. Hung up on Schneider. We took this guy with a first-round pick. What do you think on our first round, Jordan Brooks?
It's an interesting pick. It's pretty clear that Seahawks obviously wanted to trade back. From everything that you're hearing, it sounded like they wanted to get out of it. I'm still in a spot where I feel like Bobby and KJ have earned the right to prove to you that they've fallen off the cliff, so to say. A lot of times with NFL linebackers, there isn't this gradual decline. It's you're good, and then you drop off and you suck. So I would like to think that Wagner and KJ have earned that right. However, they are right about that age. They're both 30, 31, 29 in that range of age. So you know it's going to come soon. So I understand why they make this pick. You let him learn under KJ. You let him learn under Bobby, obviously. Plus, Brooks, he can play now. It wouldn't shock me if he kind of fills that Michael Kendricks role of last year if you see some injury issues or some slowing down issues from Bruce Irving. I don't love the pick, but it's the Seahawks, so they've earned the benefit of the doubt for me. I think he's going to play well.
This draft was pretty well balanced. You got a linebacker, you have an inside lineman, you got a couple of edge rushers, 2 tight ends to add to the 4 that we already had on the roster, a running back sprinkled in there, and then fast Freddie Swain from Florida as your wide receiver. I wouldn't have been mad if the Seahawks would have used every single pick on defensive players because I think that we need to go young on the defense, rebuild, and let a bunch of fast guys out there who can hit hard. I wouldn't have mind seeing all that, and then just spend your money on the offensive side. Overall, looking at the draft, all the players that we got, how do you rate this draft?
Well, it's one of those things, right? So when I look at the NFL draft, it's really hard to rate because if you go back in time into the 2012 draft, when Bobby Wagner, Bruce Irving, and Russell Wilson all got drafted, that was an F. Everyone said it failed. Everyone said it flopped. Yet all of a sudden you're looking at that draft 8 years later, you've got 2 Hall of Famers and a 50-plus sack guy in that list. That sounds pretty freaking good to me. So I don't really want to rank it. I think you got an O-lineman that is going to be really strong now with the release of Justin Britt and Fluker. I think he can fill that role. You're going younger. I think where the Seahawks, where you're really going to decide if this was a good draft or not, is 2 or 3 years down the road, and you see what these early draft pick guys turned into being. And even some of the trades, you know, when we're looking at it right now, there's rumors of them trying to go into Jacksonville and get Ngakoue and even some talk of Leonard Fournette.
Hate it.
So I would still hold off on grading this draft for 2 or 3 years. That's not something I'm into. I just think it's a snake oil salesman thing to do personally.
Well, I think the biggest part of, over this weekend is the Seahawks got a bunch of cap space. They released 2 linemen. You released Justin Britt and DJ Fluker. And you open up, I think, something in the $20 million in cap space, which we're short on the number to go out and get Jadeveon Clowney. I think it'd be a better move to bring back Jadeveon Clowney than to go and get Ngakoue. So spend the money that you just opened up with Fluker and with Britt on Jadeveon Clowney. We have 18 linemen still on the roster. Meanwhile, we also have 6 tight ends now. We're going to be fine blocking up front. Spend that money on a pass rusher. Get to the quarterback.
Yeah, well, and I think you saw them go out and get 2 defensive end pass rushers. I think they're going to want to get either Clowney or Ngakoue to teach the younger group because Clowney is expensive. And at this point, when I'm looking at it, it wouldn't shock me if they did get him that he's only on a 1-year deal just because he is so expensive. And last year, he only had 3 sacks. Now, was it one of the most disruptive 3-sack years ever? Yes. But we need more production out of those sack totals. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to try to make a play for Ngakoue and Fournette is kind of what the rumor is right now. But either get Ngakoue or Clowney or Everson Griffin, get one of them to shore up this defense.
I think that trying to go after Leonard Fournette is an awful idea. You already have Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, who both prove that they can rush for 1,000 yards. Why go after the running back that it's not something that you need to break a bank on or go after when you have running backs on your roster who are getting 1,000-yard seasons?
Well, so here's my thought process on it. You don't need to break the bank on running backs. Running backs are a dime a dozen. I don't really think there's, aside from maybe Ezekiel Elliott and maybe Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey, I don't think that there's really any – the minute you get them, you start winning more games. That being said, the Seahawks have found their most success when they've had a strong running game. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea if you could get Leonard Fournette for a year or two. All of a sudden, now you have that power back that everybody loved with Lynch. And then you have Chris Carson, a man who, while he has at times shown that he can be successful and have 1,000-yard years, his issue is he fumbles all the freaking time. So now you can kind of play Chris Carson and Penny off each other like they have been doing in the past, but more of it for that number 2 spot. Whoever wins there, you can toss the other one. And now you've got kind of a 2-headed running back monster. You have 1,000 O-linemen. At this point, they might as well just run a 9 offensive lineman set and just run the ball every play. And then you've built in that play-action pass, which can also help the O-line in the fact of now you're not having 30 to 40 dropbacks a game. That makes it a lot easier for the offensive lineman to protect the quarterback. If you have a lot of play-action pass, that can get the defensive, the secondary, if they're staring in at the quarterback, they might bite up a little bit more. It's easier to make those completions. Wide receivers become more open, and the offensive line's job becomes 1,000 times easier.
That's our insight from our football guru, Ort, from Ort and The Bear. He is a beautiful big guy who pushes other big men. I don't want to say professionally, but at the college level, he pushes other big men very, very well. So take that insight. It's some good one. We're going to see how this draft turns out over the next 2 years. If it turns out well, like he thinks it might, I'll give him a little tip of the cap, but we got to wait to see that. 88.1 The Burg, your music central. It's another day of Ort and The Bear. And something that's been sweeping the nation, everyone's been talking about it, is Michael Jordan and The Last Dance, the documentary, the 10-part series by ESPN and Netflix that everyone seems to be watching. It's 2-hour parts every weekend. This Sunday, the 2 hours focused a lot on Dennis Rodman and everything that was, and we already talked about a little bit about his relationship with Carmen Electra, but there's just so much more to this guy. I mean, he asked Phil Jackson for a 48-hour vacation in the middle of the season to Vegas. Like, did he miss out on games? Was he scratched from the lineup with an injury? And this man is incredible. He could have a full 10-part documentary on his own.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I think a year ago they did a Dennis Rodman 30 for 30 documentary, and I don't really think it did justice to what that man was. Like that, think about this. That dude went on a bender because he had a 48-hour vacation, but they couldn't find him. It took him about a week to track him down. Then he comes back, and they're like, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have you run, I believe they call it like the Indian Run or the Indian Mile. That's what I was told it was called when I was growing up. You have the one guy in the back, sprints to the front, everyone jogs all the way through. And they were going to do it slowly because they weren't going to burn themselves out because Dennis wasn't in shape. And what does he do? He outruns all of them, and they have to run. It takes them 4 laps to track him down after not working out and going on one of the craziest benders probably of all time. That's like, I don't want to say that's awesome because that seems wrong, but Dennis Rodman is a character, and I could watch him do stuff all day.
Well, okay, I want to talk about Dennis Rodman on the court because there's things that doesn't get talked about enough. He's a 6'9" forward. He's similar height with Scottie and with Michael. For 7 straight years, this man led the NBA in rebounding in years where Barkley was playing, David Robinson was playing, Hakeem was playing, Mutombo was playing. You had all these huge guys. Karl Malone's playing power forward for the Jazz. You have tree trunks in the NBA, and this is back in the day when the NBA was played underneath the basket. You threw the ball into the paint, you backed the guy down, and they put up a nice little easy layup. It was a 2-point game. Dennis Rodman led the league for 7 straight years in reboundings. 15, 16, 14, 16, 17, 18, 18 were his averages those years. 7 straight years. That's insane.
Yeah, no. Well, and the best part about it, too, is I always was told it was because he hustled more. Like, that was something that I had been told about Dennis. When he actually talks about it, yes, did he hustle more than everyone? But he also had this insane ability to watch film and be like, oh, the ball spins this way, so that means it's going to bounce back at this angle, or it's going to bounce back at this angle. And him just explaining all the different angles and all the different intricacies of rebounding blew my mind. Because when you think about Dennis, you think of a guy who hustled really hard and partied hard, not this secret genius, which he basically was.
See, and I'm looking at the list right now on total rebounds. The year he averaged 18 rebounds one year, which is amazing. He's 6'10". He averaged 18.3 rebounds and 18.7 the year before. Nobody's done that since Elvin Hayes back in 1970. Excuse me, Wilt Chamberlain 71, Wilt Chamberlain 72, and then Elvin Hayes back in the 70s. This is nuts. This is ridiculous. I mean, his hustle, and he was the perfect teammate for Michael Jordan, and just it's great. I think it shows a lot about Michael Jordan, knowing how much he hated the Pistons and Dennis Rodman, Isaiah, all those guys, and then welcomed him onto the team because he knew he could get him a ring. And I think that you wouldn't see that in today's game, and I think that shows how much of a competitor Michael is. I think he would bury down his hate for Isaiah Thomas if Isaiah would have helped him win a ring.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things of what can you do for me? Dennis could do something for him, But I love the hatred that they had. Because aside from Dennis Rodman, those Pistons teams and those Bulls teams clearly still do not get along. Like, I would bet that if Isaiah Thomas walked up to Michael Jordan, I bet Mike punches him in the face, which would be fantastic. And I wish sports had that more now. Like, yeah, social media is great because you can talk to people, and now they have all these different camps that you can go to, and you can meet all these different people. But there's a part of me when I watch that I love the Bulls. They were going to wear the black hat, or excuse me, the Pistons. They were going to wear the black hat. They were going to beat you up. They knew they weren't better than you, but they knew they could be more physical than you. And I thought that was the coolest freaking thing ever. I wish the NBA and football and hockey and baseball had more of it.
Less sportsmanship, more aggression. That's what you're going for?
Just have someone be the villain, man. It's so much better when there's a villain. You're going to drive up ratings. Physical play is always going to be it's going to be a big love if done correctly. People are going to gravitate towards it. It's kind of cool. It's the gladiator mentality. That's why football is so big in this country. But I just want someone to hate another person so bad. Like, how great would it have been if when LeBron was in Cleveland and Steph was in Golden State, if they just hated each other, and every year they went out and just, like, Steph Curry was like, oh, LeBron James is 260 pounds. What a fatty. He should stay away from In-N-Out. And then LeBron came back and was like, oh, yeah? Well, Steph Curry's really small and his wife's ugly. Like, that would be fantastic. That would be great for basketball.
Surprisingly, I agree with you here. There needs to be more beef, more tension in sports. I think that things get too buddy-buddy. I'm all cool with sportsmanship, shaking hands after games, stuff like that. But these guys are doing that during the game. You should be hating the other guy and, get away with everything you can during the game. Have rivalries, because I think that we're missing out a lot on that from, 90s, early 2000s. We had a lot of rivalries. Even Yankees-Red Sox isn't what it once was. So it would be nice to see some animosity for other teams start to come back.
Yeah, man. Just a little bit of hatred. I think the closest thing you kind of saw to it was Seattle and the 49ers, but even those guys don't hate each other. I mean, Richard Sherman was the biggest 49er hater ever, and he's playing for him now. I just need a little more hatred. Like, I want Giannis or one of the new Young Bucks to come into the NBA, and the next time a star goes up for a shot, just deck him. Just punch him in the face. I don't care. Tackle him, bring him to the ground, drop a people's elbow on him. Do something. I need more hatred in my life because it's great TV.
Now, with that, I think I'm going to go and call a counselor for Will, who can talk to somebody professionally about this. That's going to do it for Ort and the Bear today. We're going to get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Make sure to check out our social media channels at 881 The Burg, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Even check out our YouTube page. So, another day, it's Ort and the Bear right here on 881 The Burg, your Music Central.
Love you, Mom.